What's up YouTube? Got another Ace Tanker game for you. This time it's in the Object 416 and this tank is a little bit controversial. A lot of people say it's one of the worst, if not the worst, tier 8 medium tanks, and a lot of people say it's the best tier 8 medium tank, and there just doesn't seem to be any agreement on it. I will say it definitely has the best gun on any tier 8 medium in World of Tanks. It basically has the T-54's gun with the good DPM as well. 320 alpha damage and good penetration, good accuracy. This is a very good gun to have on tier 8. Unfortunately, the problem with this tank is it doesn't have a fully traversable turret. It has 3 degrees of gun depression. It has almost no gun elevation, and we give our little T-26 a helping push there. It's because the tank is so low profile, there's not much room for the breech of the gun to move around. But the one thing this tank does have, it doesn't have great armor either, which turns a lot of people off, but it has relatively good mobility and it has a really good camo rating. It's almost like a light tank. And I have nearly full crew camo, or I think even full crew camo, and the camouflage paint on this tank. So you can see I'm taking a pretty aggressive position here early on and take a pot shot at that FCM. It's kind of a dangerous tactic because they do have a fairly good GW Tiger P on their team, and this tank is, if you guys are grinding through this tank, I've finished grinding through this tank already. I'm about to buy the 430 variant 2. You're going to be priority number 1 for artillery targets a lot of the time because this tank has no armor, it's completely flat. Any shell that hits is probably going to do full damage to this tank. So what I'm trying to do is use the bushwork and the mechanics, the spotting mechanics, as best I can here. And I actually back up and do it correctly this time, but the tiger still spots me. I guess I was too close, just too close to him for that bush to protect me. But regardless, he has the stock gun, and he actually bounces, and that's not something you're going to see too often in this tank. You will get occasional freak bounces just because the tank is very well sloped, but even the turret's made of paper. Like, you can't rely on the armor in this tank at all, and the tracks are thin as well. Put one through the R2-D2 of that KV-5, he just casually drives out, lets me shoot him. And one thing about this tank is because it's so small and flat, you can actually secure kind of like, here, I'll show you right here. Notice the tank's almost completely held down, and it's not that it helps that much with this paper turret, but it still helps a little bit. It makes a smaller target for the tank to hit, especially with the KV-5 not being a very accurate tank. And most of the tanks wouldn't be able to do this, but because this tank is so small, it can conceal itself fairly well. And that KV-5 is done for, and it looks like our KV-5 and this T-26 are pushing. I briefly consider pushing with them, but then this tank doesn't really like being on the front lines. It gets shot at a lot, and because it's World of Tanks, everyone's going to shoot at it thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get full damage and, you know, get a free shot basically. And this is one thing that frustrates me to no end with World of Tanks. The terrain hitboxes are ridiculous. Like, I should have been able to take that shot, but you notice my reticle went, like, it didn't light up the tank, and that's because the hitbox is slightly bigger than the actual visual model itself. And if I fired that shot, it would have gone into the ground. But whatever. I decided to help this T-26 out by pushing, and another great thing about this tank is because it has such good camo value, you can see here I'm racking up and I roll perfectly average on that KV-5. If I was smart here, I would have loaded an HE round and finished him off, but I'm not. So yeah, someone else kills him, no big deal. But yeah, this tank, it can function as a spotter really well with a good crew camo skills because it has 380 meters of view range, and that's not a whole lot. I do have coated optics on this, which brings it up to 410, but because it has such good camo value, as long as you don't fire your gun, you can get pretty close to the enemy tanks without revealing your position. And I notice This flank's kind of faltering. We have strong positions, but we're down a few tanks, so I decided to do something a little bit more tactical, and I decided to again use my spotting mechanics here to spot enemy targets. And fortunately, I spot the GW Tiger P there, and quickly dispose of him because that's a very dangerous artillery, and that's a crippling blow to the enemy team, not having their artillery anymore. Okay, now I decide to take on these guys down here and help out my T-26, and I was kind of hoping that he would wait for me, but he just decides to YOLO. You'll see me in text in chat in a few seconds there, telling him not to. Yeah, I'm telling him to wait. I guess he really wanted that kill on that Tiger 1. That's a bad idea, though. That's a bad play because the T-26, the Super Pershing has a lot of frontal armor, but it has a lot of weak spots as well. And if you get close to something like a T-20 prototype, if he knows what he's doing, he's gonna hit those weak spots every time. So we've pulled back the scores, and I'm beginning my advance into the enemy base, and it's dangerous now because they're all probably hiding in that K1 corner. Well, I know they are, but usually that's where they'll hide out towards the end, and I'm gonna get spotted, and it's really dangerous to do this, so I'm trying to play cautiously. Another thing you'll notice about this tank, it has a pretty low amount of ammo that it holds, and because it fires so quickly, you run out of it pretty quickly. I probably don't need that many heat shells. I'll probably drop it down to like 8. Well, spoilers, I actually sold this tank. The gun's good, but the playstyle is just too situational. If you get a corridor map on this tank, you're pretty much screwed, because if you can't work with your camo, and check out this good gun performance. I shoot the lower plate of the Type 59. And now my gun and my engine are wrecked. And this actually happens a lot because the engine is frontally mounted. You'll catch fire a lot, you'll get shot, and you'll get your engine wrecked a lot. So I decide, okay, the best thing I can do for my team at this point is to spot. And that's what I do, I decide to spot. And you'll see I rack up quite a bit of spotting damage in this game because, like I said earlier, the tank's pretty good at it. But yeah, normally I can deal with -3 degrees of gun depression. Like I like my T-34-2, my T-34-3, but those tanks have a fully traversable turret, and they have turret armor, and they have good gun elevation at least. This tank doesn't have any of those things, so it's just way too situational to be a keeper for me. Maybe if they give it a really sexy HD model, I'll buy it back, but I got the Object 430 variant 2 unlocked, so I'm looking forward to that. And look at all this spotting damage I'm racking up. And unfortunately, I'm a little slow on the draw, and that's what I was talking about with the fire. I'm a little slow on the draw with the fire extinguisher there, and I died. Spoilers. So I'm just gonna speed this up because this is the end of the game pretty much. Alright, so let's check these stats. Ace Tanker, Spotter, not big surprise. 4.4k spotting, 3.5k damage. That's about 8,000 damage that I can say I'm responsible for, so that's pretty good. And I mean, this is how you carry. You really have to take advantage of everything that your tank has to offer and just like do damage, but also help your teammates do damage as well. And in the right situation, this tank is good for that. Let's look at the next screen. 1400 base XP, 3 kills. Top on XP and damage are in for both teams. Again, not really too surprising considering that game. Next screen. I didn't penetrate that many shots considering I fired 20, but it was a fairly long range engagement most of the time, so I'm still happy. And it's not the most accurate gun. It's not like British accuracy, but it's still pretty darn accurate for anything that's Russian. And here's let's look at the credit earnings, because you guys know I like to do that. That's another weakness of this tank. You are not gonna make good credits in this tank at all, ever, even with premium account, just because A, it's tier 8, B, it has no armor, so you're gonna take damage from just about every shot you take, which means you're gonna have to repair the tank more, which costs money. And C, the ammo is crazy expensive. The standard ammo is expensive. The standard AP, the heat shells are expensive. Even the HE is expensive. And because this tank fires them so quickly, you're gonna be firing a lot of them, and it just really eats through your credit earnings. So don't expect to make money in this tank. Alright, so in a nutshell, how do I feel about this tank? It's not bad, but it's not really that great either, and I sold it. And ultimately this tank was not a keeper for me because it's too limited in its application. It can use camo and like spot and put out some good DPM with its very limited gun arc, but that's what really got to me was the limited gun arc and the no armor. I mean, it's really, if you think about it, a lot like an SU-101, and I'm almost about to buy that tank, so I'll probably be posting a video of that later on, but that tank has speed and armor. Granted, it doesn't have a turret, but this turret's not fully traversable either, so of the two worst, as people would say, or like the two kind of ugly ducklings of tier 8 medium tanks, the T-34-2 and this, I would pick the T-34-2 in a heartbeat because the T-34-2 has, like I said, gun depression, well, not gun depression, gun elevation, a fully traversable turret, and good turret armor. And this tank doesn't have any of this, so if you get caught out in the open in this tank, you're pretty much screwed. The name of the game in this tank is stay hidden. You're basically a tank destroyer, and I mean, if I wanted to play a tank destroyer, I'd play a tank destroyer, but I wanted to play a tank, and they basically gave me a tank destroyer, so I don't know. This tank's really, I can do alright in it, but for my money, it's not a keeper. But anyway, I hope this video helped some of you guys out. You can get some tips on how to play this tank if you're grinding through it. I know they just had the Object 430 on track event on the North American server not that long ago, so hopefully this helps some people out there. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one.